Welcome to Dish the Nerves, the podcast where you keep calm and lead on. I am Rekha Matthew, your host for this episode. Today, I am thrilled to have Mark Gatsby to our podcast, and who will be joining and sharing his journey with Toastmasters and how it has shaped him as the leader he is today. Mark has been in Toastmasters for about 2 years, and in spite of that, he came second in the division's humorous speech contest just the last year. He has spent over 25 years building a successful career in investment banking and is the first person in his family to attend university. But what makes his story truly inspiring is what he has done for others along the way. Mark co founded an employee resource group which helps others from lower socioeconomic backgrounds to start and grow their careers in banking. And now that has grown to over 3,000 members globally. Mark, I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I always feel a bit uncomfortable when I get such a glowing introduction.
Great. So I'd love to start off by rewinding a bit from the moment you joined Toastmasters 2 years ago to actually winning second in the humorous speech contest just the last year. So, what has the journey been like for you in Toastmasters, and how has it shaped your life outside of Toastmasters?
Yeah, it was quite interesting when I first session I came to. I booked in and came along, and the Toastmaster that night, Imogen, she themed it, and she'd actually dressed up as Inspector Clouseau from the films as a detective. Everyone had a fake stick-on moustache as they went in, and there was kind of like a detective and investigation theme for the whole night. And I was this was like a bit strange. Is it going to be like this every night? And it wasn't. I mean, that was a great night, and it got me coming back. And it's not like that every night, but it's always something different, and it's always fun depending on what role you take. And even if you're not giving a speech yourself, you can listen to the others, you can give feedback, you can be the grammarian, whatever it happens to be. In terms of how it's changed my life, I think it's helped me a lot. I mean, I was not one of these people that was terrified of public speaking, but I wanted to get better at it, and it's helped me do that, I think, and it's made me look for more opportunities to speak in various social situations and at work and things like that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely had an impact.
Great. As you and I know, Toastmasters play such a powerful role in helping people develop their leadership skills within the club, which they can obviously apply in real world context. How would you define high performance leadership? And just taking a cue from your humorous speech winning, how much does humor play a role in leadership?
Uh, Difficult one. I think high performance leadership I would define as probably getting more out of people than they think they're capable of. And I'm not saying that's what I do, but that would be my definition. I do use humour quite a lot at work, probably too much sometimes. It's hard for me to stop. But it's nice to have an audience that haven't heard all my jokes before, because my wife and daughter are probably sick of them by now. It does. It does. And I think it's great as an icebreaker and to develop a rapport. And if you can kind of get, people generally like people who make them laugh. And if you can
Mm.
make people laugh, then you can build a rapport. If you can build a rapport, you can influence and work together and build a team. So that's how I try and deploy humour at work. Maybe, like I say, sometimes too much, but that's how it generally works for me.
Just building on that, so in your experience, obviously in your position, you have led so many complex projects and programs across global teams. What are some key skills or habits that you've learned in Toastmasters that has helped you perform so well at such a high level?
I think Toastmasters helps you form your thoughts more clearly before you speak. It helps you put that gap in, if you like, so that you're not just blurting things. You can kind of talk strategically and maybe have more thought as to the impact your words are going to have. If you do need to present for a steering committee or a meeting with senior stakeholders, it can help you shape your presentation and how you present that. I know sometimes I've had senior leaders at work do, and they're very bright, very smart, eminent people and know their subject inside out, but sometimes they look terrified to be speaking, or they're very monotonous, and sometimes you end up focusing more on how not good they are as a speaker rather than the message. So I don't think you have to be fantastic and win competitions and win prizes, but if you can get above a certain minimum standard, then people pay more attention to what you're saying rather than how well or badly or otherwise you're delivering it. So I think definitely helps in those sorts of situations where you're presenting to senior people, and helps you, and there's all tracks for this, right? There's all the different leadership tracks in the Toastmasters website. So you
Yeah.
can, look at how you structure your argument, your rule of three, you're finishing on a strong point if you've got to present something, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think from your experience having joined Toastmasters and having done so many contests, just in general, I'm really interested to know, has there been like any difficult moment or any vulnerable moment in your Toastmaster journey that has shaped you as a person as well as a leader in your journey?
I think one of the benefits of Toastmasters is not just the fact that you learn to speak, but it's also the content in other people's speeches. So every time you go, people get up and it might be a humorous talk, it might be on a topic you're not very interested in, but sometimes it's on a topic that resonates with you and sticks with you. So it's not just the Toastmaster training yourself. And there was one lady, Monica Dragonescu, I think is, probably get this the wrong way around, division or district director, and she gave a speech once, and it was based on this book by Joseph Campbell called The Hero's Journey. And the phrase in there is the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek, which sounds a bit strange, but it means that if you feel resistance to something and you don't want to do it, then probably that's the thing you need to do to get out of your comfort zone and grow. And I use that, I say that to myself at work sometimes, because if something was easy, if you need to do something that was easy, you'd already have done it. And it's the things that you find difficult and you don't want to do and you're reluctant to do, those are probably the exact things you should be doing. So that's something that stuck with me, definitely.
Yeah, that's quite a nice sort of a quote. When looking back at your public speaking journey before and after you joined Toastmasters, would you say how has Toastmasters impacted the way you speak in front of an audience and lead a conversation? Has there been a big impact? And if so, how has it been?
Yeah, definitely. I think I remember my first Toastmasters meeting when I got up and did table topics, and I was very static, and I stood there with my hands in front of my body. I didn't gesture. I didn't really move around. So all of those things have changed. Even on Zoom calls at work, I'm gesturing and pointing and saying, option A, option B, just more mobile and more fluid. And I think also it helps in terms of, like I say, structuring how you want to speak, having your we always go on about the rule of three, but it's a classic rule for a reason, right? And not having 10 points in your email or 10 points in your presentation, having your three key ones, boiling it down, being really specific about what you're asking for and what you want to do. So
Yeah.
that's definitely helped. I think one thing that in one of my earlier sessions when I went as well, you kind of think table topics are a bit of fun and a bit of fluff and just practice for public speaking, but what they actually practice you for as well is when you're in meetings at work and you get put on the spot and you're asked to talk about a topic, they go around the table and like, Mark, what's the status of X? And you can say, you can get up and you can talk confidently about it, and you're not speaking and saying, well, it's kind of this sort of happened, and you can deliver your message confidently and you sound like you know what you're talking about, and it comes across better and people have more confidence in you. So I think that's really useful technique to learn as well.
Yeah. And yeah, for the audience who don't know what table topics is, it is a way in Toastmasters where you deliver a speech or an impromptu speaking for about 1 to 2 minutes. And in Toastmasters, you learn how to do that in the most effective way. So that sort of spills into other avenues in life where you have to speak for 2 minutes so succinctly and deliver it in the most effective way. So I think, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. A lot of people consider Toastmasters to be, obviously, it is a public speaking platform and an opportunity to build leadership skills. But personally, for me, I come to Toastmaster for the community side of things because it's a place to meet like minded people, and the social aspect of it is really huge. I'm really curious to know from your point of view, what has been the maybe like 1 or 2 things that brings you back to Toastmasters after 2 years? And yeah, is it just the public speaking and the leadership side of things, or are there more to it?
I think it's true, you do make a lot of friends there, and it's a good environment, it's a good supportive environment. I think I do primarily go for the public speaking, but the club I'm at, we do have social events like at Christmas and mid-year and things that are always fun, where you can talk to people away from the focus on public speaking, if you like. So I think those are probably the main things. And I think,
Yeah.
every time you take a different role, you can practice a different bit of your public speaking and you get to polish how you deliver.
Yeah. Great. I do see that you mentor a lot of students, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, and you are leading the employee resource group at your employer, which is quite inspiring. So, how do you help others cultivate leadership very early in their life?
Yeah, I think so thanks to working in banking, I was able to send my daughter to a much better school than I went to. I sent her to private school from 4 to 11. And one thing I noticed a difference, I mean, apart from the facilities and everything else, but one thing I noticed a difference at that school between compared to my school, which was not a very nice school at all, is that the children are always given an opportunity to get up and present. And every term, every half term, they were either in a play for the parents, they were playing a piece on the piano, they were reciting a poem, they were singing a song. So from 4, 5, 6, 7, many times a term and a school year, they were getting up and performing and presenting in front of people. And quite often when we have candidates, this isn't specific to my bank, this is all banks, a lot of the things that people say is that people from private schools are more confident. And so what I want to do is, and we're looking at doing this with our employee, because we've got with our employee resource group, because we have a branch of Toastmasters at our employer, is to look at some of these grads, helping them with Toastmasters so they can build that confidence quickly and they can sound more authoritative. Because I think sometimes if you're delivering a message and people aren't an expert in what you're talking about, sometimes how confident you deliver that message, they mistake that for expertise, which isn't always the case. But I think if we can get people more confident and better at presenting, then I think that will definitely help them in their career. And I think Toastmasters would be a great way to do that. So that's what I'm hoping we can do in the UK.
Yeah. Your confidence is, I think, a big part of public speaking. Do you often come across students or mentees who are quite reserved and introverts? And, how do you help them bring their public speaking skills into the limelight? Has there been any such instances that you've had in your journey?
I think really it's a case of practice. If you're nervous, the more you do it, the less nervous you get, right? It's like they do courses at London Zoo, don't they, to stop people being scared of spiders. And you start looking at a picture of a spider, and then you kind of have one in a box that's like 2 meters away, and then it's next to you. And at the end of it, you're holding tarantulas. And I think that's what you've got to do with your public speaking. You start off slowly in a very friendly environment like Toastmasters, and maybe you do your table topics, and you take a minor role like timekeeper, where you don't have to speak so much, and then you can be like GE or Toastmaster, where you're talking a lot and then doing your speeches. And I think getting those reps in really helps you with your confidence. And the other thing is we've had people at our club, and they get up and they do a table topic, and you ask them why they came along, and they said, I'm terrified of public speaking. And 9 times out of 10, if you heard them deliver their table topic and you looked at them, you wouldn't think they were terrified. You can't see their internal state. They feel it. They feel the butterflies. They feel the nerves. But when you're looking at them, you can't tell that. And I think you just need to tell people that, look, people can't tell how nervous you are. And sometimes that nerves isn't fear, it's anticipation, it's excitement. You've got to reframe it in your mind as well as what it is that you're feeling. You're not terrified, you're just keyed up and keen and excited to get on and give your talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, I think there are so many opportunities within Toastmasters, which is just outside coming on stage and preparing a speech, be it like taking up different roles within the office and just playing, small to big parts. You're all taking a place in that and getting that rep in, as you said. So practice, practice, practice is the key to becoming a good speaker, and doing it as long as you can. I think it's like a muscle you build. So I think that's a really good point you made. Do you have any advice that you would give for any young professionals, especially who want to step up into high impact leadership as you are, and do not know what to do or where to go next? What is sort of the thing that you would give an advice as?
This is something I was very bad at, and that is asking for advice and finding a mentor. I think, and nothing really, and networking and those kinds of things, nothing will accelerate your career more than that. I think find senior people that are willing to help you, and I think you'll find most senior people are. I was reluctant to ask for help, and then I had a chap from an offshore centre just out of the blue asked me a question about career and things like that, and I started helping him. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm nicer than everybody else in the bank, and I was willing to help this guy who just reached out to me out of the blue. So probably if I did the same to people more senior to me, then why wouldn't they want to help me? I don't think I'm any nicer than them. They'd probably be more than happy to help me as well. So I would say don't struggle in silence, ask for advice and build those networks, keep in touch with people, make sure people know what you're doing. I think particularly from a lower socioeconomic background like I was, when you're at school, the way to get praise from the teachers is to just keep your head down and get good marks, and it's all the disruptive students that get the attention. But when you move into a environment like a professional organization, big five consultancy, investment bank, whatever it is, you need to market yourself a bit more, and you need to make sure that people know that you're doing good work. You need to make sure people know that you want to do the next level and move forward in your career. So I would say doing that as well, keeping people informed of what you're doing, asking for help, building a network, building a senior network as well, and trying to find a mentor or a sponsor, all of those things I think would help. But I think as well, bringing it back to Toastmasters, if you do the Toastmasters, you get the confidence to do those things so that when you do meet these people, you're talking to them sensibly, you can discuss, you can present, you come across well in conversations. So I'd say that's where it can help you.
That is amazing advice, and I completely agree. I think more than the what you see like visibly as you deliver a speech, it's also training on how the unconscious or subconscious sort of mannerisms, be it your body language, the way you carry yourself. I think all of this is being trained in Toastmasters and can be very much useful in scenarios what you mentioned, where you reach out to senior people and just come across as someone who is, who's quite valuable and wants to be helped. So I think I completely agree on that.
Yeah, and the whole reason I joined Toastmasters as well was because when I started this employee resource group, I saw a senior manager speak at a function, impromptu, off the cuff. I think he'd just had to attend a House of Commons thing where he got a bit of a grilling, and he was thanking the team and he was talking about it and the advice they gave him, and it was just off the cuff at a function. I don't think he'd rehearsed anything. It was just perfect. And I thought, I want to be as good as that. And I don't know if I am as good as that, but I wanted to get better. And because the message and the employee resource group was so important to me, I wanted to get better at speaking so I could do the message justice. Like I said, sometimes you get speakers that are so bad, you concentrate on how bad they are rather than what they're saying. You end up counting how many times they say like or things like that. And I didn't want to become that bad. I wanted to just get to a certain minimum level that people would listen to my message. And that's what I use Toastmasters for.
Yeah, absolutely. And in Toastmasters, we have a role in every meeting called as a grammarian who literally counts the number of and filler words people use. So I think it's such a great place to be a bit more aware of the way we speak. So that's such a good point.
And I hope you're going to edit out all the ones I've used in this interview so I look good. Because as soon as I start talking about, yes, you learn not to use filler words, and then you forget, and then the next sentence you use about 6.
That happens all the time, but yeah, awesome. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the podcast. Mark, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your journey. Your story is a powerful reminder of how much impact Toastmaster can have both within as well as outside the organization and can really make a real world impact. So thanks a lot for doing that, and thanks for joining us.
Cool. Thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for joining this podcast. We hope to see you in our next episode. Until then, keep calm and ditch the nerves.